What is up, people of YouTube? I'm your host Vernon. This is the Void. Let's fish that. Alright, ladies and gents, I made my way out here to Lockport. It is a rather misty morning this morning, and typically when I go out to make videos, I have a certain plan for the day, and there's certain objectives I want to achieve. Whereas today, it's a bit different in that there's no actual plan. I just want to do some fishing, and I actually want to do some lure fishing. So I'm going to start off with some lures, throw it around, see if I get on some fish. I do have some baits with me. If we don't get anything on the lures, you can always swap over to the baits. But let's get to the actual fishing. Are you keeping walleye? No. You'll take. Okay. Alright, ladies and gents, our little pelican friend, the one that was here the entire time, he just managed to grab our lure, and that was actually, had a little sauger on there. He grabbed the sauger and he actually swallowed both the fish and my little lure. I'm quite irritated with our little friend there. But we've had a pretty good morning, caught a bunch of fish out there, some sauger and some walleye, all on little lures. That was the goal. So you saw a couple of hours of fishing for catching some of these fish. For now, I think I'm going to swap things over. I'm going to take a different setup, little Carolina rig. I'm just going to put on some night crawlers, get that out there, see if maybe we can get some drum, or maybe some catfish to go for the night crawlers. Now it is a bit snaggy, and there are a lot of sauger in the area, but hopefully we can get through them and maybe get out far enough to get something a bit different. Alright guys, it's now been a couple of hours. We had baits out there soaking, had no interest so far. Every once in a while I can still see some fish jumping in the area, so we know the fish are here, but they're not going for my baits. And that's one of the things I try and point out in my videos from time to time. You need to be fishing for a fish that's willing to bite. I can sit here for days on end with the baits waiting for the fish to come find the baits, or I can move around and go find where the fish are willing to feed on the baits. Right here, right now, full of the sauger in the area, and they are looking for moving baits. They're not wanting to go for any old night crawlers or anything like that. So I think rather than sitting and wait for the baits, I'm rather going to swap back to the little lure and actually try and get on some more fish. I mean, what's the point of not catching fish if I know how to get the fish out there? So let me show you what I'm doing out there and how I'm getting the fish. Alright, so I'm just swapping back to throwing a little lure, and all I'm doing is I'm using a tiny little jig head. It doesn't really matter what shape jig head you're using, just something with a little bit of weight to get down, and then any kind of paddle tail or grub, any type of slow moving thing on the bottom. That's been working pretty well. Now I have had a lot more success on the green color, which is a weird thing because if you look at the science papers, then fish can't actually see green. The human eye can see three colors: blue, red, and green. And between that, we mix it together to get all of the colors we can see, where fish can only see red and blue. They don't have the green part. So this little lure does not actually look green to them. It's more like something like gray or brown or something. And it's just this brown moving thing on the bottom that gets them all excited. And that's the trick. It's slow moving presentation down on the bottom. Every once in a while you'll feel you'll hit over a rock, or you jump over a rock, and it's typically when you jump over that rock when the fish grabs it. So it's really just casting it up, letting it sink down, and bringing it in very slowly towards you. Now, why am I saying a little grub like that or a paddle tail? It's just a little action that thing has down on the bottom. It looks better to the fish. They're more willing to strike it if they can see a little moving thing. So the general idea is a very slow movement of your lure down on the bottom. And there we go, fish on. I think this one kind of followed it in for a while. That's how I've been getting the sauger and walleye. And as I've been showing throughout this entire video, it's all sorts of little paddle tails moving slowly on the bottom. All sorts of different colors as well. The colors are more for you. If you are confident in the color, you're more likely to get fish. But the colors aren't as important as you'd think. It's basically either something that's going to be irritating the fish and they'll strike at it, or something that is almost not visible and that's why they strike it. Walleye and sauger have some of the best eyes. They're pretty good hunters. They can see very well in dark conditions and low light conditions. Even in murky water, they can see a lot better than most other fish. There we go, another one on. Bit of a smaller one, and he came loose. Now, the type of weight that you have on your hook there, that is very important. If you go for something like a 1 ounce weight, that is way too heavy. You'll get snagged on the bottom a lot easier. Right now I'm using half an ounce. It's a bit heavy, but it gives me a bit better casting distance. Throughout this day, I've rather been using 1/8 ounce. Another fish on. And he also came loose. Thinking this hook is a bit big for the smaller fish. I'm thinking something like Ned rigs, they should probably work as well. But a Ned rig being down on the bottom, it's quite easy to get snagged. You want a little jig head or something that can go over the rocks a little bit easier. I've seen a lot of the fishermen just do a steady, slow reel. There we go, fish on. Steady, slow reel works as well. But I found having a little pause every once in a while, just stopping, giving that fish a chance to hit it, helps. Lovely little sauger. This one is trying to swim in between the rocks here. There he goes. Alright, but you get the idea. Slow moving down on the bottom. That's how I'm getting these fish. You might lose quite a lot of lures like this. I've lost quite a few jig heads out there. But we've also got quite a few fish doing it this way. I think I've caught more fish than I've actually lost lures. So all in all, not a bad way to find some fish. Of course, there can be bigger fish in between all of these small ones. Just weeding through all of the small ones, maybe you'll find some bigger ones. Alright, but you get the idea. I'm going to catch a few more. Not necessarily going to explain as I'm continuing, but I'm going to try and catch a few more. Alright, ladies and gents, there was no clear plan for today other than to catch some fish, and catch fish we did. Now Lockport is of course known for the big channel catfish, but the great thing about Lockport is there's tons of fish out there in all sorts of different flavors. And if you don't like what's on offer on the one day, you can always try for something else. Now I had fun out there, caught quite a lot of fish. I hope you would give me a little thumbs up for all of the fish I got. Feel free to ask any questions down below in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, consider hitting subscribe, joining my community. Right, but that's going to bring an end to this one. I want to thank you for tagging along on this one. And like always, I'll see you next time.